A new report has the PlayStation 5 at a bit of a crossroads right now in the development of the system, and it looks like the price is going to be higher than first anticipated. And then video games, a whole bunch of games were given release dates, and some new games were announced, including an impossible game coming to the Nintendo Switch. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. Yes, the rumors are true. I cut myself shaving. But beyond that, we have to talk about other stuff. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So the PlayStation 5 has been a very interesting console as far as getting information about this system because, well, it's pretty much the polar opposite of what Microsoft has been doing. Microsoft has been very boisterous and vocal about the Xbox Series X, showing you what the system looks like, showing you games that are going to be coming onto the system, and it seems like Microsoft is very confident when it comes to the Xbox Series X, where, on the other hand, Sony has been a bit more quiet with the PlayStation 5. All we've seen from the actual system is the controller of the system, which I don't really have a problem with, but some people were kind of like, it's ugly, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. But when it comes to controllers, I need to have it in my hands. But beyond that, we've gotten some tech specs of the system, but we haven't heard about any games coming to the system. We haven't seen anything really running beyond Godfall, which was, of course, a third-party game coming to the PlayStation 5, so people are kind of worried about this system. Well, a new report just came out from Bloomberg that kind of paints the PS5 in a very interesting situation. So Bloomberg put out a report saying that the PlayStation 5 will only ship around 5 to 6 million units worldwide during the first 2 quarters of the launch of the system, which is less than the PlayStation 4 sold in that same sort of time frame. Now, of course, you would think that the real world events are the reason behind this, and that's why the production of this system is slowing down. But according to the report, it actually has nothing to do with that. They're saying that Sony isn't factoring that into anything at all. The more interesting thing about this is the price of the system, which looks like it's going to be around the $500 price point, because of the real reason why they're only shipping around 5 to 6 million units is that Sony is having issues with the production of the console in a cost-efficient manner. The report puts the cost of Sony to produce a single PlayStation 5 unit at about $450, meaning if they wanted any sort of profit on the system, it would have to be, of course, more than that. And they more than likely wouldn't want to take a loss on the system or anything like that for a few key reasons. Microsoft's game division isn't really one of the main breadwinners for the company. They have much more profitable assets when it comes to their company, but when you look at Sony, one of the most profitable divisions for the company is, of course, the games division. If they were to sell the system at a cost or potentially even a loss, that of course would infuriate shareholders of the company, which would potentially damage Sony in the long run. For me, though, the X factor in all of this is how consumers are going to be spending their money coming this holiday season due to the economic impact that has been going on because of real world events. Is a $500 premium console really going to be that hot of an item for people outside of the diehard fan base, when many people are probably having to deal with back payments and bills of stuff and things of that nature? But of course, you might be saying to yourself, well, why would the Xbox Series X not face some of those issues that Sony is potentially going to have with the launch of the PlayStation 5? But you have to remember what Microsoft has said this entire time. The Xbox Series X is going to be a complement to the Xbox One for at least a year or two, as no games will come exclusively to the Xbox Series X that also will not come onto the Xbox One. So as long as Microsoft is selling systems of some sort, I don't think they're necessarily going to be very upset by this. Like I said, the games division of Microsoft isn't one of the main breadwinners, but I think another thing you have to factor in with all of this is just the confidence that Microsoft has had with the Xbox Series X so far. More than likely, people are only going to buy one system this holiday season, whether it's a PlayStation system, a Xbox system, or of course a Nintendo system. But when you're looking at the new systems, of course, they're really going to come down to two decisions: the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X. With how much more we have seen from the Xbox Series X and the confidence that Microsoft has been displaying, I think it's a more attractive system at this time. Of course, games will really factor into all of that and how important buying these systems on day one will end up being, but it looks like this could potentially be a rocky start for the PlayStation 5. That's not to say the PlayStation 5 is doomed or anything like that. Look at the turnaround that the PlayStation 3 made. But obviously there's a whole bunch of different factors going into this, and Sony is putting themselves in a very interesting position. But now let's talk about actual video games instead of hardware, because a bunch of games were dated this morning, a bunch of games were announced this morning, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool stuff. So we're basically going to go over these games by my list of interest. We're going to start out with the games that, well, I'm not really interested in, and then finish up with the games that I am interested in. The first game we're going to talk about is SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, which of course is a remastered edition of this game that is coming to the Xbox One, the PS4, and Nintendo Switch on June 23rd. Now, I've heard very good things about this game. I know there's a lot of SpongeBob fans out there and a lot of people that really enjoyed this game. The SpongeBob series, the source material was sort of, you know, nothing I was interested in. It came out when I was a bit older, so I didn't watch the show or anything like that, but a lot of people seem to be excited for this game. Evidently, it is a very good game, so I may end up checking it out just out of morbid curiosity to see if maybe I can get a chuckle out of the humor that it will be presented in the game. But a lot of people are excited for this, and now it is officially coming out on June 23rd. A game that won Fighting Game of the Year that was not available on the Nintendo Switch, even though it supposedly wasn't very good, is now coming to the Nintendo Switch, and that is Jump Force Deluxe. Now, this game does not have a release date for the Nintendo Switch version of the game, but Bandai Namco did show some footage of the game running on the Nintendo Switch, and once again, like, this isn't really a game for me. I'm not big into anime. I've never really watched any anime. This, of course, is a combination of different anime franchises like Naruto and Dragon Ball, stuff that means absolutely nothing to me, and basically puts the main characters of these games into a fighting game where they can fight against each other in different sorts of fashions, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, so on and so forth. Once again, this is a game I have very little interest in, but I think it will be interesting to see just how the Nintendo Switch version of this game runs and performs. Like I said, it already released on things like the PlayStation 4, and it got very mediocre review scores, so maybe they're just looking to make some of the money back from this game. Maybe it didn't sell quite as well as they were hoping. We've been seeing a lot of HD remasters of older Star Wars games, and another game is coming to the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch pretty soon, and that is Star Wars Podracing. Star Wars Podracing HD will be coming to the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch on March 14th, and honestly, I like this game. This game was very fun on the Nintendo 64. Of course, it also released on the Dreamcast, and it looked a lot better on the Dreamcast, but this is a fun sort of racing game. Obviously, the movie that it's inspired from, the first Star Wars movie and the new trilogy that came out in the 2000s, wasn't very well received. I actually watched it pretty recently, and I didn't really hate it all that much. There were some kind of cringy moments and whatnot, but I think this movie series is okay, even though some people really don't like it. But the game itself was actually very fun. It is an arcade style racing game, and I think a lot of people have nostalgia for this game. It was one of the best racing games, like I said, on the N64. It also used the expansion pack to have HD textures as well, so I'm looking forward to this game. I probably will pick up this game because I am a fan of the original game, and I'll be interested to see how they sort of refine the controls and make the graphics look better for the modern era. Now, a game that I did not expect to be announced for the Nintendo Switch was actually announced for the Nintendo Switch late last night, and that is a game called World War Z. Now, World War Z came out on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One last year, and it was basically an online-based sort of multiplayer game where you're just blasting through waves of zombies, but really the zombies themselves were very intelligent, and that's what made this game so unique and made so many people really like this game. It looked really good, it played really well as well, and it was a whole lot of fun. And now this game is coming to the Nintendo Switch from Saber Interactive, and Saber Interactive is of course a company you should be familiar with if you are a Nintendo Switch owner. They did The Witcher 3, and they did a fantastic job with that game. Obviously, they did a patch afterwards for The Witcher 3 to make the game look and run even better on the Nintendo Switch, so Saber Interactive is by far one of the best port companies when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, and I think World War Z is going to be a pretty good fit for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself, RGT, you have Game Pass, why don't you just play World War Z on your Xbox One? But really, these multiplayer games like this, I like to play them in handheld mode, and I'll tell you why. I like to just have something up on the television when I'm playing these games to sort of distract me, because I don't know, when it comes to these multiplayer games, I sort of just get more into them when I'm playing them in handheld mode, and if I get bored or I die or something like that, then I can simply watch whatever is on my television. So I'm actually interested to see how this version of the game turns out. I will check it out on the Xbox One just to see what to sort of expect with the Nintendo Switch version of the game, and no release date has been given for World War Z on the Nintendo Switch. More than likely, I could sort of see this being a summer release, but I'm definitely very interested to see what Saber Interactive is able to do with the Nintendo Switch with this sort of game. And the final game is a game that I expected to come to the PlayStation 4, I expected to come to the Xbox One and the PC, but a Nintendo Switch version of the game, I definitely did not expect that, and that is Crysis Remastered. Now, Crysis, of course, was a game that released in the late 2000s and was pretty much the benchmark for first-person shooters on the PC. Like, can your PC run Crysis? If it can't, then your PC is absolute crap, because it was such a graphically demanding game. Now, Crysis Remastered is, of course, like I said, coming to the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the PC, and the Nintendo Switch. Now, this game was sort of teased by the Crysis website, and then the Crysis website actually accidentally put up an image for the game, and it showcased all the systems that it would be coming out for. So I think a lot of us expected something from Crysis. Of course, Crysis had been teasing that something new was going to be coming out, and I think this is pretty much in line with what we expected, because hey, Crysis 4 is probably a ways away, if that even comes. Maybe this is sort of a way to see if there is interest in this game. Now, I'm expecting the PS4 and the Xbox One versions to look absolutely fantastic, as it would make sense, because of course that is using the Crytek engine. But on the Nintendo Switch, that's where things are going to get very interesting. Of course, Crysis is a game that is published by Electronic Arts as well, also known as EA, so that really opens up some doors as well. It seems like EA is starting to do more things with the Nintendo Switch. You of course have Burnout Paradise Remastered coming to the Nintendo Switch this summer, and now you have Crysis Remastered coming to the Nintendo Switch. So this is going to be very, very interesting. I really am looking forward to seeing how this game performs on the Nintendo Switch. It's definitely going to be a hardware pusher for the system. After looking at things like Doom 2016 and The Witcher 3 though, maybe that could sort of give us some sort of implications on what to expect with this, but I think it's going to be a real treat for Nintendo Switch owners. One of the most demanding games, can it run Crysis, is now coming to your Nintendo Switch, along with the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC with the remastered edition. Alright, so that is going to do it for today's video, but before we wrap things up, I want to give heartfelt condolences to the family of Howard Finkel, the WWF ring announcer from the late 80s into the 90s and even early 2000s. Howard Finkel unfortunately passed away at the age of 69, and you know, he was just an iconic voice for me. Growing up watching professional wrestling, you listened to Howard Finkel, like his voice was just, you know, it was fantastic. And new! Like, that's when you knew like things were getting very real. So it is such a shame to see him pass away. He definitely made a huge impact on my life growing up, just because of how he presented professional wrestling. He of course was in various video games as well as a ring announcer in all of the 16-bit wrestling games. You can see a picture of Howard Finkel. So Howard Finkel, rest in peace, condolences to his family. You will definitely be missed. Beyond that though, let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below. Do you plan on picking up any of these games? Are you team PS5, team Xbox Series X, and how do you feel about the PlayStation 5 development? And as always, thank you guys for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.